Hello everyone and welcome to today's class. In our last class, we looked at the construction and analysis of the bar chart. In today's class, we shall be looking at the construction of the histogram, and then from there we shall proceed to the construction of the pie chart. Okay, if you look at your screen, you would find out that the histogram is similar to the bar chart, but they are not the same. The histogram is used to represent frequency distribution, and a look at our histogram shows us that it is plotted using class ranges. You can see we have a class range from 20 to 30, from 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and so on and so on. And based on that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes. We have 8 classes in this histogram, and we have a class width of 10. From 20 to 30 is 10. So we have a class width of 10 on our histogram on this particular example that is on our screen. So now that we've done that, we'll just go straight to the construction of the histogram, and then from there I believe that we'll be able to understand all the concepts that I've just talked about now. Okay, so in constructing the histogram, let us look at this question. It said, in a survey of people people on a bus were asked how long they had waited before the bus arrived. The time in minutes is given. We have 3, 7, 9, 9, 10, 9, 11, 14, 12, 22, 17, and 16. Then we have a little hint that they said create 4 classes for this histogram. So the first thing we are going to be working out is our class width. And the solution for our class width, the formula for finding the class width, is given as the range divided by the number of classes. Range divided by the number of classes. So what is range? Range is equal to your maximum number minus your minimum number. In this case, our maximum is 22 and our minimum is 3. Can you see that? Maximum is 22 and then the minimum is 3. Therefore, our range is equal to 22 minus 3, and that is going to be equal to 19. Okay, now that we've gotten our range, the next part is straightforward. We are going for the number of classes, and we have been told that we should create 4 classes, invariably meaning that our number of classes is equal to 4. So we have 4 classes in this case. Now that we've got those two knowns, we've got the two unknown. Let us look for the unknown, which is our width, our class width. So the class width in this case is going to be equal to our class will be equal to 19 divided by 4, and that's going to be equal to 4.75. That's equal to 4.75. Okay, there's a concept that we use here. Now that we've got our class width, there's a concept we use there, and that's the concept of rounding up. If we had got the class width as 4, we would have still rounded up to 5. Now we've gotten our class width as 4.75, so we'll still round up to 5. Do we follow? So once you get your class width from your calculation, always round up. So in this case, we'll round up to 5. That is our class width. With us, now that we know our class width as 5, the next thing we are going to do is to create a table. Let's create a 3 by 6 table. Use your ruler to draw a table and then label it this way. We have a 3, in this case we have a 3 by 7 table. You could draw a 3 by 6 table or a 3 by 7 table, and then we're going to label it. Our first labeling is going to be termed the class range. So people can call this class limit, class range, the same thing. Then we have the class boundary, and then we have the frequency. So label your table like that: class limit or class range, class boundary, and then frequency. Okay, now that you've done that, the next thing we are going to do is to put the class ranges first, starting from the minimum and going to the maximum class range. Okay, so our first class range is starts from 3. Starts from 3. Now we're going to be including 3 in our counting. We said our class width is 5. So we're going to be counting 5 numbers from 3, including 3 in the counting. 3 is inclusive. So we have 3, we have 4, 5, 6, and 7. That makes up 5 numbers. So our first class range is going to be from 3 to 7. Now, our next class range is going to be from the next band of numbers, which is from 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we have 12. That makes up our next class range of 8 to 12. Then the next one we have from 13 to 17, and then we have from 18 to 22. That gives us, that's all about our class limit for this example. Then now that we've got that, the next thing we'll do is to find our class boundary. And the class boundary is just a simple method of finding your class boundary. What you do is to subtract 0.5 from your lower limit and then add 0.5 to the upper limit. What do I mean? If we look at the first range of class from 3 to 7, our lower limit is 3. Remember, if we are subtracting and adding, we are actually putting back that which we have taken. We subtracted 0.5 and then we added 0.5. So we are still maintaining our class width of 5. So in the first case, we have 3 to 7. So if we subtract 0.5 from 3, we would have 2.5. And then the upper limit of our boundary is going to be 7.5 plus 0.5. And that is going to be, 7 plus 0.5, that's going to be 7.5. Then the next class boundary is going to be 8 subtract 0.5 from 8 would have 7.5. Then if we add 0.5 to 12, we have 12.5. So we continue the process. We have 12.5 for the next class boundary. We have 17.5. Then we have 17.5 and 22.5. Okay, that is how we get our class boundary. Now that we've gotten our class boundary, the next thing is to get the frequency that represents each of these classes. For the first one, we have from 3 to 7.5, from 2.5 to 7.5. We have which numbers fall between that range. We have only 3 and 7. That's 2. So in that case, our frequency is 2. Then the next one, we have from 7.5 to 12.5. How many numbers do we have within that range? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So our frequency is 5. Then the next one, we have between 12.5 and 17.5. How many numbers fall within that range? We have 1, 2, and 3 numbers. So our frequency in that case is 3. Then we have between 8 and 17.5 and 22.5. How many numbers do we have there? We have only one number, which is 22. Now, as a means of checking, would sum up this frequency. Let's count this one. The number of entries we have, here should tally within our number of frequency. So we'll sum our frequency after we have counted how many numbers we have there. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 numbers. So let's sum our frequency. We have 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So 11, that gives us our check. So we are in line. Now, to construct our histogram, I'll just clean the left hand side of the screen and then shift the table up so that we'll have space for construction. Okay, so in proceeding, we'll construct our axis, our vertical axis and our horizontal axis. Remember, this is a plot of frequency against class boundary. So we have our vertical axis, then we have our horizontal axis. So can you use your ruler to do that now? Your vertical axis, then your horizontal axis. Then next, we can start by grading our axis. We have 5 numbers there. We have the highest frequency to be 5 and the lowest frequency to be 1. So I think it is easy for us to label this our vertical axis from 1 to 5. So we have the first one, the first mark, second mark, the third mark, and then the fourth mark. You see they are equally spaced. Make sure that your lines are spaced evenly. So we have the labels 1, we have 1, we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll do the same thing to our horizontal axis. We'll grade that, we'll draw our markers, then we'll label that from 2.5 to 22.5 as we have on the screen there. So the first one is 2.5, the next one is 7.5, then we have 12.5, then we have 17.5, then we have 22.5. From 2.5 to 22.5, our lower limit to our upper limit. Okay, now that we've done that, the next thing we are going to do is to use our ruler, or for ease you could use your set square to carry out, to mark the lines, to do our construction lines. The first one we have is from the range of 2.5 to 7.5, and we said our frequency is 2. So you just take your ruler, make sure that your ruler is parallel to this horizontal axis. Make sure your ruler is parallel to this horizontal axis, and then put it on the number 2 mark, and then rule. Can you see that? Rule to where you just get to the 7.5 line. So when you get to this, you take your ruler, put it on the 7.5 marker, put it straight on the 7.5 marker. Let's make sure that your ruler is parallel to this vertical axis. Then once it is parallel, you rule, and that is done. Now we are finished with the first class boundary. The next class boundary we have from 7.5 to 12.5. That one is easy. What we'll do, we have a frequency of 5. That's our highest. So we'll then go to 5 and rule a faint construction line. Rule a faint construction line. Okay, make sure that this your construction line is parallel to your horizontal axis. You can see they are both parallel, right? Now I can extend my line from 7.5 to touch that this is my construction line. So I'm going to draw a line, my line, extend it from there to touch my construction line. Can you do that now? Okay, so now that we've done that, we can cover up. Remember, we're coming to the 12.5 mark. That's 7.5 boundary. So I can cover that up to reach down and bring it down to my 12.5 boundary. Easy. Okay, next we're going to take our ruler again. The next one says a frequency of 3. We have a frequency of 3 between 12.5 and 17.5. You can see that there's no space between the bars. All the bars are plugged together. They are together. There's no space in between. So we have that of frequency 3 from 12.5 to 17.5. You take your ruler and then you draw your construction line. That is on the 3 marker. Make sure it is your ruler is parallel to your horizontal axis. And then when you get to the place you want to draw your bar, your horizontal bar, you can draw it there, right? Make sure your ruler is straight, parallel to the horizontal axis. Now that I've done that, I can drag it down to touch my next boundary, which is 17.5. Now we have them from 17.5 to 22.5, which is the least, which is on our one marker. So we'll take our construction line from there, you bring it to the place we are going to start our main line, and then which is on the 17.5, and then draw the horizontal line to be parallel to the horizontal axis, and then we can cover that up. Easily done. Now there's something that I've not yet done, which makes my work incomplete. That must be done, so that when somebody looks at your chart, the person knows what you are talking about, and which has to do with our labeling. We've not labeled our vertical and horizontal axis, so I'll just do that now. Vertical is called the frequency and the horizontal is time in minutes. So with that, we have constructed our histogram.